Whatever they do, the world will condemn them. So they basically bury their heads in the sand and get on with what they do.
A number of things there, but a response from Kazim. Kazim.
Hi there. Well, basically, I mean, first and foremost, I don't even think we should be having this discussion, because I think, you know...
Why shouldn't we be... Why shouldn't we be having this discussion?
The reason, first and foremost, is, don't get me wrong, I'm not pro-Iranian or anything of the sort. What it is just Israel have already got nuclear... The biggest terrorist state in the world have already got nuclear weapons. Do you not think that the debate should be how we denuclearize Israel, first and foremost? The gravest danger that, you know, the army...
Why shouldn't we... You've come on the radio and you've been allowed to make a statement. Some people will agree with it, many people will not agree with it. The biggest terrorist state in the world is Israel. It certainly has a lot of support out there. But you've been allowed to come on and say that. That's why we're having this debate, and that's why it's good to have this debate, isn't it?
Of course it's good to have the debate, but what's that got to do with denuclearising Israel? You're going off the point there. The point here is obviously denuclearising or not letting Iran actually be nuclearised enough to get, you know, the weapons there, because they're a terrorist state, axis of evils, however you put it. But the thing is, why go down that route or something that could potentially happen where you've already got a terrorist state, in my opinion?
Okay, do you know what? We're going to put that... Kasim, the reason why it's great to have this debate is you've just said that the biggest terrorist state on the planet, Israel, we are able to put that point directly to the former Foreign Secretary, Sir Malcolm Rifkind. That's why it's good to talk about these things. Sir Malcolm Rifkind, good morning.
Good morning.
We have our caller there, Kazim from Bolton, who says, listen, the focus is all wrong here. We should be focusing on Israel. How did you describe them, Kazim? The
biggest terrorist state, yes.
In the world. Israel, the biggest... What would you say to that? Many say it, Sir Malcolm Rifkind.
Well, forgive me, I think that's just complete nonsense. I mean, one's right to have criticism of Israel. Some of the things that Israel does we may disapprove of, but Israel is one of the most ardent opponents of terrorism. It is a democratic society. It has the rule of law. It has a very controversial policy on the Palestinians, and that's something I don't always agree with. But to describe it as a...
Well, wait a minute. Let Sir Malcolm Rifkind finish, and then I'll come back to you. Sorry, Sir Malcolm, carry on.
It is a democratic society. It changes its government according to the will of the electorate. So, by all means, criticise Israel, but to call it a terrorist state is just silly. That's just absurd.
That's all, Malcolm. The point is, as ex-Foreign Secretary, we don't expect anything better from you. The point is here, the Iranians are not a threat to the world whatsoever. They give the world gas, they give the world carpets, they give the world pistachios.
Did you say they give the world carpets? Did you? Or did me?
No, Iranian carpets are beautiful.
Right, I'm sure they are.
I'm sure Iranian carpets are very beautiful, and I wish the people of Iran...
Stop dehumanizing people. This is...
Okay. Sir Malcolm Rifkind, you say whether they're being... Sir Malcolm Rifkind, how much of a threat would a nuclearised, dreadful word, but we know what we mean, Iran be to the world?
Well, I think it would be very serious, because the first thing would happen if Iran acquires nuclear weapons is that the Arab states would respond by acquiring them as well. Saudi Arabia has already indicated publicly that that's what it would probably feel obliged to do. So you've already got forgive me, let me finish my sentence if I may. So the Middle East, which is already one of the most volatile, dangerous parts of the world, would become a terrible arms race with all the risks of some of these nuclear weapons falling into the hands of terrorists, because Iran has been a state sponsor of terrorism, as everyone recognizes, except perhaps your other current contributor.
But Mossad's attacks on Iranian nuclear scientists, is that terrorism, Sir Malcolm?
Well, I agree with you that is something which certainly the United Kingdom government would
Is
never
it terrorism?
It's state-sponsored assassination. The United States has done it as well. They have their governments, whether I don't agree with it, we don't do that, but in America and in Israel...
Why when we do it, is it state-sponsored assassination, but when Iran does it, is it terrorism?
No, I'm talking about something quite different. What Iran does has been supporting terrorism, which has involved suicide bombers with innocent women and children being blown up by bombs. Neither Israel nor the United States have ever contemplated that. They have occasionally gone for individuals who they believe are a threat to their own security, like Osama bin Laden. That is still controversial. But
an Iranian nuclear scientist, but from inference from what you're saying, he's a guilty individual, is he?
I'm not saying he's good. I'm not supporting what happened. I'm simply describing what happened. The Israelis have such a policy. They don't admit it, but it's widely believed they have such a policy. It's for them to defend it. I have no intention of defending it. It's not something I would personally think ought to happen, but that's a different matter.
Okay, Jonathan has been trying to come in for ages in the Manchester area. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, Nicky. How are you?
Very well. On you go.
Okay, just got a couple of points to make in relation to some of the things that have been talked about so far this morning. The first is about Ahmadinejad. Ahmadinejad is purely a puppet and has absolutely no influence on what happens in Iran. And the things that he said about the Jewish nation, unfortunately, have been taken in the wrong way. The first point is he said about wiping Israel off the map. He didn't actually say that. He said something slightly different, but it was lost in translation.
What did he mean by the great deception of the Holocaust?
Well, yeah, he's a Holocaust denier, and there's obviously that's another discussion for another day. What I'd like to say is I'd like to make a prediction, first of all. There will be an attack on Iran, and it will come this year, and it will happen before the US presidential elections in November, I believe. Malcolm Rifkin talks about a nuclear Iran being a threat to the region, and that is obviously correct. However, the biggest threat to the region and the world would be another war and an attack on Iran. There would be worldwide consequences to that, and people don't seem to learn the mistakes from history. And there have been multiple mistakes that have been made over the past few years. Iraq, Afghanistan are just two that we can talk about. And as for Israel having nuclear weapons, well, the solution to this issue is quite simple as far as I'm concerned. Discussion, an open discussion without conditions, bringing in all the major nations, so obviously our country, the United States, Israel, Iran, and everybody else that has nuclear weapons, so we include Pakistan and India in that. That is the best way to resolve this situation, through discussion and not through war and not through attacking Iran or any other country for that matter. And one final very, very important point as well to make to people that are listening to the radio this morning is this. In terms of regimes within the Middle East that are the worst as far as I'm concerned, Saudi Arabia is number one. They oppress young people, they oppress females in their society, as well as the Iranians do. However, they're allowed to get away with whatever they like. For example,
they're our mates.
75% of the people that live in Saudi Arabia live below the poverty line. Yet the elite in Saudi Arabia have billions of dollars invested in America.
They do, Jonathan. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for those points. I want to go to William, who's called us from Tel Aviv. Hello, William.
Hi, Nicky. How are you?
And Kazim is still... Are you still there, Kazim, in Bolton?
I am, yes.
All right, William, make your point, please.
Yeah, the first point I want to make, and I thought the last caller's point about what's going on in Saudi Arabia is very, very valid, and it colours everything that Britain has to say about the Middle East because of our weapons contracts with them. But the main point I wanted to make is Iran is the world's biggest sponsor of terrorism. Its leadership denies the Holocaust. It declares itself in so many ways to be at war with Israel ever since, who knows when, 1948. And the attacks on Iranian scientists, I would say, are Israel defending itself without waiting for the West to defend Israel for itself.
Kazim?
Well, first of all, if I can go back to Sir Malcolm...
No, we haven't got time to go back to Sir Malcolm. Respond to William.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll respond to William. Well, at the end of the day, that's a valid point from his point of view. But at the end of the day, there's numerous other points that actually go there in relation to that. So I mean, William, so it's okay. What if an Israeli scientist was to get assassinated in England or America? Would that not be by an Iranian suicide squad or whatever you'd call it? Would that be defending themselves?
It's the wrong question because Israel is not trying to build nuclear weapons to destroy Iran.
No, because you already have those. That's why. You already have those. We
didn't build them. We didn't build, assuming Israel does have them, it didn't build them with the express intention of destroying another state.
What's this assuming?
So why would you have nuclear weapons? Why would you have nuclear weapons? What is Israel's philosophy behind it? Why do you have nuclear weapons? It's not for peaceful means.
We have nuclear weapons for the same reason that Britain and the United States has them, which is they are the ultimate deterrent.
Ultimate deterrent. We just lost the line for a second, and it's about self-defense, is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, well, okay, if that's your excuse or your argument, then surely Iran can use the same. Why can't they? Look what the Israelis or the Israeli government with the army are doing to Palestine, to Lebanon during the war, even to Syria with the Sheba farms, etc. So Iran could say the same. Don't get me wrong, I do not like Iranian governments whatsoever. You know, that's not an issue here. It's a matter of you cannot just say, oh, it's self-defense, but we're the only ones that are allowed to have it. If that's the case, every country should be able to have that. North Korea should be able to have those as a deterrent then.
Listen, we're going to have to call a halt. William, thank you for calling us from Tel Aviv. By what means were you listening to us this morning?
Via the internet.
Excellent. Thank you for being with us. I
always do, Nicky. I listen to you every day.
Thank you very much indeed. Big in Tel Aviv. There we are. Well, that's another thing we didn't sort out.